Okay, I'm joined by a legend of European MMA, a real OG of the game, fought a who's who from Dan Hardy, Paul Daly, Dennis Siver, all the way to Patricio Pitbull, Emmanuel Sanchez, Goiti Yamauchi, and so many more. He's back in the cage next weekend, Bellator 299 in Dublin, taking on Mads Burnell, September 23rd. So a little over a week away as we record this. Happy to be joined by Bellator's number 9 ranked featherweight in the world, Daniel Weichel. Daniel, how you doing, man?
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Good. I'm glad to have you. How has everything been for you? And at this point, so close to the fight, how is everything going?
Yeah, everything's good. I mean, the camp is already done. Uh, it's just the weight cutting, and yeah, next week Wednesday we already heading to Dublin, and yeah, now it's time to go. Now I'm excited to get things going.
Yeah, you're very well traveled fighter. You fought all over the place. So obviously this having to make the trip a little bit early is something you're very used to at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's different than to the US. I mean, and honestly, I like it more to get there later on, so I can like the Europe trips are pretty comfortable because I have my home. I don't have to look for stuff, so I can do also most of the weight cut uh, my hometown. So it's pretty good for me. So and I like it to be around as long as possible, and then to head over.
Yeah. Obviously, Mads Burnell, the opponent this time out, a guy who's been in some high profile spots in Bellator. Before that was with the UFC with Cage Warriors, so he's been around a while. What are your thoughts on him coming into this one as the opponent this time?
Yeah, he's a tough guy. Definitely a challenge to me, but I feel very well prepared to go in there and show everything that I developed in my game, and yeah, give him a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Have you done anything differently as part of your preparation for this one? Or obviously you're a veteran of the game, the camp's pretty standard at this point because Mads is a really well-rounded guy.
Yeah, of course. We set it up different technical stuff for him, so adapting to his game plan, to his movement style. But right now, I try to listen more to my body than I used to do it in the past. Like try to I need really recovery, and then doing recovery sessions, or yeah, just technical sessions, and peak the right timing to push. And I feel very good with it. I feel like I have way more energy than I had in other camps. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Yeah, obviously, you've been a pro since 2002. It's been over 20 years at this point. You mentioned there listening to your body. Is that something that's had to come into play a bit more as times come on?
Definitely. I'm training with a lot of guys. The new generation comes up, and they push and they go each and every day. So I'm always tempted to go with that. So, but yeah, I think it's always smart to pick the days to when you know, okay, now I have to really push the days. And of course, in the 20s, you you push every day. You don't stop.
Yeah. Um, how are you able to keep motivated then? Because obviously you're going through camp and it's a camp. It's repetitive in times, but you might obviously mention there's some differences coming into the fight. But at the end of the day, it's another camp. You've been through a lot of camps. How do you keep
Yeah,
motivated for each one?
yeah, definitely a point where yeah, also things change when I grew older. In the beginning was yeah, just I was not really thinking about uh, what is my motivation. I was just going. But right now, I really, I'm, I really appreciate that I'm still able to get to enjoy this, to get to be able to get out there in a in a on a crowd like the Dublin, the Irish crowd,
Yeah.
making such an amazing atmosphere and doing what I love. This is basically the thing. I mean, the camp, it is switching from how to prepare a little bit, but as you said, it's a camp. You have to push, you have to do the sparrings, you have to go through pain, you have to, yeah, you have good days, you have bad, like always, but the highlight is definitely Saturday night, to go out there in the cage, all eyes on just two fighters, and being able to showcase the full potential of what I got and why I love this sport so much.
Yeah, you talk about being grateful to be in the position you're in. If someone told you when you made your pro debut over 20 years ago that, 20 years later, you'd still be at the top of the sport in one of the world's league organizations and in their top 10, what would you say?
I think I wouldn't even be able to imagine that. At that point, was 17 years old. Yeah, I was watching like Pride, shoot to UFC, and all this stuff. Like, yeah, then Bellator came, and going to the big leagues was always had an eye on it, and yeah, would be uh, like hearing of a daydream at that age. Yeah.
Obviously you mentioned Bellator there, of course. Let's talk about it. Obviously, there's been a lot of reports of late. PFL, a name mentioned potentially buying the promotion. Really, just as a fighter in the promotion, when you hear things like that, is there a bit of uncertainty that comes to your mind, or do you just think like, I've got a fight coming up, I need to block all of that to the side?
Mm, I mean, of course, I heard about it and everything, but for right now, I'm really just focusing on that fight. I know I'm now with Bellator for some time, and I know they always treated their fighters like perfectly. I cannot complain about anything that Bellator ever did that would make me uncomfortable, either preparing for a fight or in a lack of news. It was never the case. So I have 100% trust in the company, and I I'm still very happy and proud to perform at that level with Bellator. Yeah, and whatever the future holds, we will see. But for right now, I just have this fight in front of me, and I know Bellator will not leave their fighters, hanging.
Yeah. But obviously you talk about being with the company for so long. It's nearly 10 years now you've been with the company. If this ends up being your last fight in Bellator in this form, shall we say, what are some of the standout memories of your time with the promotion? Because you've seen it all. You were in the tournament era, you obviously won the featherweight tournament. Freak show is maybe harsh, but that era with Kimbo, Dada 5000, Ken Shamrock. You were there then, you were on the Kimbo Slice and Ken Shamrock card.
Yeah.
And then on to Showtime and bringing the tournaments back with the Grand Prix. You've been through all of that. So throughout your time, if this is it for Bellator, what are some of the standout memories of your time with the company?
Um, I would begin with the very first fight with Bellator when I got the finish first round. This was a very, very special moment to me because it was a lot of pressure. Like for me coming into this fight, like I have to prove what I got, and then of course the final was another highlight. Winning the final in Canada and make it a step to the title fight, and then I would say the LA card with the tournament fight against Sal Rogers was also one of a very special fight to me. I mean, the setup was great. They pushed the fights tremendously, and yeah, there's some of the memories that came up, but like each and every fight has something special with it, and yeah, I really look back to amazing time with Bellator, like fighting fighters on the highest level, like Pat Curran, Patricio, Gucciamauchi, and yeah, and still doing so. really gives me again the feeling like, hey, it's great to be that spot and still doing this.
Yeah, obviously, for this coming fight back in Dublin, where you fought a couple of times, you talk about obviously the crowd, the atmosphere that comes with those Dublin shows. So you must be pretty excited to get back here and make the trip once again.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no crowd like the Irish crowd, and I love how they built this atmosphere in there, and yeah, also very nice thing. Like it's just an hour flight from Frankfurt, so a lot of friends and fans and family are coming with me. So I really appreciate that. I love everybody who comes to support me, and yeah. Looking forward to that Saturday night.
Yeah. Obviously, we talked about you're a well-traveled fighter. You fought all over the place. Obviously, here in the UK, all over the US, LA, like you said. But you know, Russia as well with M1, Rome, Hungary with Bellator. But
Yeah.
where does which one of those which places you fought are kind of some of your favorites, and where does Dublin rank for you? Because the way you're talking about it, it sounds like it's going to be right at the top for you.
Absolutely. Dublin is one of the top events. I mean, like I said, just mentioned, Rome was also amazing. Open air event in Rome
Yeah.
was crazy. Yeah. But like what I love with the Irish, I mean, they go crazy when you play the entrance songs and they all sing and uh, everybody like a lot of my friends came to support me in my previous fights in Ireland, and when they about this memory seeing me fighting over there, they always mention like, hey, this atmosphere over there. It's like I don't know, maybe 1,000 spectators, but they sound like 30,000, like a football stadium.
Yeah.
So this always special to be in Ireland.
And obviously, when you fought in Dublin before, you were fighting against the home fighter, so the reaction to you might not have been so kind. So, are you looking forward to? I mean, it's a neutral fight. Yourself, Mads, not
Yeah.
of you representing Ireland. So, are you looking forward to a slightly different reaction this time, or do you enjoy getting the boos from the crowd?
I mean, I'm excited to maybe get a new reaction,
Yeah,
but either way, when I was fighting like hometown fighters, the Irish fans always appreciate the fighters,
yeah,
and that's something very special to me. Like in Germany, we are now heading to a point where people understand MMA. They get to love MMA, and it's like building up, and more and more people get fascinated by it. That's what I love to see this in my home country, you know, and so to have the Irish fans appreciate the the sportman itself always gives a good feeling and a good atmosphere, no matter which way it's going.
yeah. Let's also about MMA in Germany a little bit because, like, I'm not personally, I'm not sure how the sport is received over there. Obviously, it's hot here in the UK, hot in Ireland. France is another new
Yeah,
market where the sport is just really hot at the minute. But how are things in Germany? Because obviously, several years ago, UFC did a couple of events and then they just haven't
yeah.
done as many recently. So, how is MMA just in Germany as a whole right now?
MMA is growing like really big right now. I mean, we have like one a German organization, NFC, who's getting also bigger and bigger, but also like a Czech organization, Octagon, where like teammates of Stefan Pütz, Ekelin, Katharina Dalista are fighting, and they had stadiums like 12,000 people in the audience, and we had it in Frankfurt twice, like sold out, 12,000 people was amazing, you know, and to me as a pioneer of the sport, it's like very special to see this, you know, like that, like regular people like this.
So obviously you mentioned the Octagon names there, but who are some of the other German fighters that people should be keeping an eye on?
I mean, we have like Max Koga, who's a long time training partner of mine. He's like also a veteran, and he's like NC champion, and I mean, always have to keep an eye on him. But also we have a lot of new guys coming up, like young guys, 18, 19 years old, who are now making their made their pro debuts and are now going forward. And this will be very interesting to see them coming, like yeah, a lot of teammates of mine where they will be in the next years, like climbing the ladders to the big organizations for sure.
Yeah, good to hear it. Thanks for the time today, Daniel. Finally, Bellator 299. Give us the hard sell. When yourself and Mads Burnell step into the cage, what can fans expect?
When Mads Burnell and me are stepping into the cage on Saturday, 23rd, I will put everything on the line. I will go in there with my heart, with all my passion that I have for the sport, and showcase the best Daniel who's ever been there.
It's good to hear it. Definitely one of the fights that I'm most looking forward to on that card. Thanks again for taking the time today. Feel
Thank you.
free, before we wrap up, shout out any sponsors you've got or where people can follow you and keep up with what you're doing.
You can follow me on Instagram or Twitter. It's Daniel Weichel. And I want to thank everybody who supports me throughout my career. I love you all, and see you night.
Perfect. Again, thanks for taking the time. Fight goes down in Dublin next weekend, September 23rd. Bellator 299, of course, here in the UK. That's going to air on BBC iPlayer. Appreciate you taking the time. Best of luck next weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks.